Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2018 Ford F-150 XLT. Up front is a 2.7 liter turbocharged V6, and down below is a 10-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this F-150 for two reasons. First of all, this is a mid-trim vehicle. The XLT was one step up from base, but this has a lot of packages added onto it, like the bigger screen, the adjustable pedals, and things like that. So it's a very interesting middle ground, and I think this is going to be a pretty common truck to find on the secondhand market. But the second reason is that it's always good to be back in an F-150, one of the most popular vehicles in America. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 2.7 liter turbo V6 under the hood. Well, that is the basic engine. The F-150 in this era did not offer a 4-cylinder. They still don't, unlike the Chevy Silverado. So this was the basic engine, and I quite like it. We recently drove it in the Ford Fusion Sport here on the channel, and it's quite zippy there. It's quite zippy here. It makes mid 300s of horsepower, and with that 10 speed, it's able to kind of harness that power where it might not have been able to in years past. Like I said, paired to it is that 10-speed automatic transmission. I've always liked Ford's 10 speeds. I think they work well. I've never really had a complaint about them. Last but not least, of course, the F-150 is 4-wheel drive. However, you could find them in 2-wheel drive back in the era. How does it feel to drive the F-150 XLT? Drives like pretty much any other truck. I do like the power that comes from it. Would I like the V8? Of course. The 5 liter is a fantastic engine, but I don't honestly miss it all that much around town. It still has the get up and go. It still has the oomph that I'm looking for, without burning a ton of bank at the pump. Steering is nice, it's easy to get in and out of. It's not grotesquely oversized, although the F-150 has grown quite a bit in the last several years. It's not crazy. It's not this unfathomable size. Doesn't need to take its belt off at Thanksgiving like some of us do. So, in that regard, I like driving the F-150. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a bunch of physical gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer, off to the right is my speedometer, and up in the center we get our oil pressure, coolant temperature, fuel, and transmission temperature, as well as a customizable screen. We're averaging 18.7 miles to the gallon here in the EcoBoost V6, although this truck does a lot of idling, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. On the steering wheel on the left, we have our selectors for that gauge cluster screen, as well as our cruise control. And off to the right, we have volume, skip track, mode, mute, phone options, and voice commands. To the left, we have a climate control vent, our headlight switch, as well as fog light and rear cargo light switch, gauge dimmer switch, power parking brake, and those optional pedal adjustments. Moving on to the door, we have our power mirrors and power windows, as well as power locks found a little bit down low. Moving into the center, you do get a little cubby space up in the center, and we have the bigger sync system. Now, this was the bigger screen for 2018, which would now be considered the tiny screen, but again, this was an optionable upgrade at the time. It does have navigation and Ford's sync system, although nothing too crazy. You do get a backup camera, which is nice and clear, although 2018 was the first year that it was legally required to have a backup camera. Down below, we do have our number pad, skip track, volume, and tune. Off to the right of that tune knob, we do have a wall outlet as well as a 12-volt outlet. And off to the left of the volume knob, we have our 4-wheel drive settings as well as rear locking diff. Very nice to see. And then we have our climate controls. Very simple here. Fan speed off to the left, temperature to the right, where to send it in the center, and we do have heated seats. Again, an upgrade over just the standard XLT truck. We do have 2 USB-A's down in the center console, as well as a big cubby. Shifter off to the left, you can plus minus on the side if you'd like, and this DM button is for drive mode. So we have normal, tow haul, snow wet, eco, and sport. which are very nice to see. To the right, we have cup holders, so we'll do a big friggin' model test, and this might be somewhat controversial. I don't feel like it fits in there very snugly or very happily, and so I'm going to give it a fail. I don't think we've tested this generation of F-150 before, so I don't really have a roadmap for this, so I gotta give it a fail. I think, unfortunately, I have to give it a fail. Very sad to see. Then we do get a giant center console. Now, the owner told me the best thing about the center console is how much room it has. And the worst thing about the center console is how much room it has, because there's no organization. Anything you put in here after a little bit of a drive is going to be a mixed up gumbo of staples and pens and tape and food and whatever you put in there. It's just going to be a mixed up bag. So people do 3D print stuff, but that's going to be at your own discretion. The seats are comfortable. My seat that I'm sitting in, the driver's seat, does have a seat cover on it. However, the passenger seat is the more traditional. This is what the seats look like underneath. They have this little tread pattern on them. They're cloth. They're nothing special, although they are heated, so I will take what I can get on this chilly, chilly morning. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the F-150, and a couple of things to note. First of all is just the overwhelming amount of room back here. Really, really nice to see. We do have a wall outlet. We have a USB-A back here as well for charging. Actually, 2 USB-As and a 12-volt outlet. And these seats do fold up, which is really, really nice. My cousin was moving and was able to fit a ton of things back here. Keep it out of the elements, keep it from rolling around, and as we'll see, the truck bed is utilized as well. So we'll talk about that in a second, but tons and tons of space around really like 2012-ish, I want to say. Whenever they started doing the aluminum beds, they really started increasing the rear seat space. So like early 2000s, not great, late 90s, no good, but around this era, they started to really make them big. Now the 2025 F-150, I mean, it's half a hotel room in the back, which is really nice to see. So, speaking of the back, let's hop into the bed, and we have some very interesting things that are not stock, but we'll talk about them back there. All right, we're on the back of the F-150 XLT, and we do have a handle here, and as you can see, my cousin has the decked truck bed system. So I always get ads for this on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. I'm so excited he actually has it. So it is a system of drawers that come out like this for storage. He has a lighting company, and so he can fit all of his stuff right in there. They're very, very heavy duty. He absolutely loves them. So next time you see an ad on Instagram or YouTube, that's actually what they look like. They're pretty nice, so I like that a lot. Here's the truck bed. Obviously, he uses this for his business, so it is full. This is also a gatorcovers.com tonneau cover, and what he likes, you pull this string and then you lift it up and you can fold it all the way up. Really, really nice, pretty solid as well, and pretty affordable too. So very nice to see all of that. You do have lights in there, although it's kind of hard to see with all the stuff and whatnot. So right back up. Clean, simple tailgate. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I could take or leave the F-150. I'm not over the moon with this generation. I don't think it's as killer or as good looking as the OBSs of the late 90s, but I like it. It's fine. It does the job. Black is a very boring color, but so is white and silver that most trucks come in, so I can't knock it too hard. Although, I do want to show off this truck is owned by my cousin, who has a vehicle lighting business, and so it does have some emergency lighting around the vehicle. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Ford F-150 from 2018? Well, I like this truck a lot. I think this truck does a lot of things very, very well. The only downsides have been some small Ford quality control issues. The passenger door and the tailgate get stuck when it's cold. They just get gummed up. Ford has a service bulletin about it, but it doesn't really fix the issue. There's a lot of plastic going on in here, especially the cup holders. As I tried to put the big friggin' bottle in, there was some bowing and popping and crackling. But On the flip side of all that is that this truck was basic, and it didn't cost you an arm, leg, and femur to take one off the lot back in 2018. And subsequently, now on the used market, these can be had for relatively normal prices. Of course, a truck with four-wheel drive is always going to carry a premium. I'm not saying that you could get one of these for pennies on the dollar, but it's also not astronomically crazy. Here are a couple of local listings to me that I was able to find of 2018 F-150s. To me, these prices aren't that obscene like we might see with other vehicles. This is just a touch away from simplicity. I wish that it had a physical parking brake like a pedal. I wish that it had a few less niceties, but we have to have a screen in the car because we have to have a backup camera legally. That's why all cars have screens now. They have to have a backup camera. So that's just one of those necessary evils that we have to deal with. This truck is used for a job, my cousin's lighting company. And so that's why we had those giant drawers in the back that we talked about. That's why this is a basic work truck, and that's why he's put nearly 30,000 miles on it in the last year. But it's there for him. It keeps up with him and his business. It keeps up with his very busy schedule. Does it have all the bells and whistles? No, it doesn't. Am I feeling pampered and luxurious? Not even in the slightest. Do I feel something brewing in my lower gut? Yes, but that's unrelated to this truck. It's great. It works. That's the biggest thing. It just works. There are a few little things here and there that I might not love, but you don't have to love your toaster. You don't have to love your dishwasher. You don't have to love your screwdriver. They just have to work. And the F-150 XLT was built for work. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Colin, my near and dear cousin, known him all my life, for letting me borrow his F-150. Please go check out his YouTube channel. He does emergency vehicle lighting, installs, how-tos, things like that. It's a really, really cool industry. So please go check him out. That will be linked in the description below. He's been awesome. He's a part of the family, and I love him to death. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it.